I have been using this for a while now, so I figured I would share some thoughts. It is a robot vacuum that also mops, and it is mainly for people who want their floors handled in the background without thinking about it every day. I am not the kind of person who enjoys vacuuming, and I also do not want to be constantly picking up crumbs and dust, especially in the rooms that get messy again 5 minutes later. The reason I kept using the L5 past the first week is simple. It actually made my floors look consistently better with less effort from me. It is not magic, and it does not replace a deep clean, but for day-to-day maintenance, it has been doing real work in my home. Right in front of me, the L5 looks like most round robot vacuums, but it feels solid when I pick it up. The plastic does not feel thin or squeaky, and nothing on it feels loose. The top surface will show fingerprints and dust if you have bright lights or sunlight coming in, so I wipe it off sometimes. The bumper has already taken a decent number of taps against chair legs and the edge of a cabinet, and it still looks fine. Underneath, the brush setup is easy to access, and that matters because hair and string will get wrapped around anything that spins. I have dealt with that on every robot vacuum I have used. In the box, I got the usual basics to get started, plus extras that I actually ended up using. I appreciated having spare filters and spare brushes because those are the parts that wear out and get gross over time. The manual was clear enough that I did not feel like I had to guess what the lights meant or how to reset things when I changed my Wi-Fi. Setup was pretty normal. I put the charging dock against a wall, gave it some space, and let it charge. Connecting it to the app took a few minutes. The part that can be annoying with devices like this is the Wi-Fi step, and I did have to try it twice because I typed my password too fast and did not notice. After that, it stayed connected. In daily use, I open the app, hit clean, and that is basically it. I also tried voice control, and it worked, but most of the time I just use the app because it gives me more control over where it goes. The first real test for me was just letting it run in a normal lived-in space. I have hard floors and some carpet, and the biggest challenge is always the transition areas, like the edge of a rug or the little lip between rooms. The L5 handled those better than I expected. It is not perfect, and sometimes it will hesitate for a second, back up and try again, but it usually makes it over and keeps going. When it gets onto carpet, I can hear the sound change, and I can see the cleaning lines after. On tile and wood, it picks up the small stuff I do not want under my feet, like grit near the door, crumbs in the kitchen, and dust along the baseboards. Navigation is a big part of whether you trust a robot vacuum. With the L5, I noticed pretty quickly that it was not just bouncing randomly. It moves with purpose, and it does not waste as much time revisiting the same little patch over and over. It also did a decent job going around toys and furniture legs. I still pick up obvious stuff before a run, like charging cables and anything with strings. If you leave those out, you are basically asking for a problem. But for normal clutter like a shoe near the wall or a kid toy left in the middle of a room, it usually recognizes it, slows down, nudges around it, and keeps cleaning. After it mapped my place, the app became more useful. I could tell it to avoid certain spots, and that is something I actually use. There is one area where I do not want it to go because of a pet bowl, and another area with a rug that gets caught sometimes. Being able to block those off saved me from having to rescue it as often. I also like being able to send it to a specific room when I know the mess is mostly there. If I cook and crumbs are all over the kitchen, I do not need a full run of the whole home. I just want that one space handled. Mopping is where I had the most questions going in, because robot mopping can mean a lot of different things. In real life, I treat it like a light mop, not a deep scrub. When I attach the mop pad and fill the water, it is good for freshening up hard floors, picking up light footprints, and dealing with small sticky spots that are not fully dried. If something is really stuck on, like dried sauce, I still have to clean it myself. That is normal. What I like is that it keeps the floor from getting that dull, dirty film that builds up when life gets busy. The water control in the app helped me because I can keep it lighter on floors that do not need much, and increase it a bit in the kitchen. I have been paying attention to battery life because that determines whether it can finish a full cleaning without me thinking about it. In my place, it usually gets through the full routine and still has enough charge left that it does not feel stressed. On stronger suction, it drains faster, which is expected, but it still finishes most runs. When it does need to recharge, it has been consistent about finding the dock. The only times it struggled were when I moved the dock and did not give it enough open space, so that one was on me. Noise is another day-to-day thing. On lower suction, I can be on a call in another room and it is fine. On stronger suction, it is loud enough that I would not want it running right next to me while I am recording audio. I schedule it around my day. That is basically how I live with it. I let it run when I am making dinner, taking a shower, or doing something in a different room. Now for the stuff that is not perfect. The dustbin fills up faster than you would think if you have pets or long hair in the house. I empty it often, and I do a quick check of the filter because a clogged filter will make any vacuum perform worse. I also had to cut hair off the roller brush more than once. Again, that is not unique to this model, but it is part of owning a robot vacuum. The mop pad also needs to be washed regularly or it starts to smell. If you treat it like a real cleaning tool and keep it maintained, it stays pleasant to use. In terms of suction, I care less about a number on a page and more about whether I can walk barefoot and not feel crumbs. With the L5, I can tell a difference when it is run. The edges along walls are better than the older robot vacuums I have used, though it still misses the occasional corner. Under beds and under low furniture is where it earns its keep, because those are the places I tend to ignore until it is too late. After a couple of weeks, I checked under the bed and realized it had been quietly keeping that space under control. The smart features feel useful when they reduce friction. The app lets me schedule cleanings, choose rooms, and set boundaries. It is not something I stare at for fun, but it helps me avoid babysitting the vacuum. When it works, it fades into the background, and that is kind of the goal. So overall, my experience with the L5 is that it is a practical helper for keeping floors consistently cleaner than they would be otherwise. It is for someone who wants the daily mess handled without pulling out a full-size vacuum every time. It still needs basic maintenance. It still needs you to pick up cords and really small hazards, and the mop function is for upkeep rather than heavy scrubbing. But as part of a normal routine, it has been reliable in my home, and it has saved me time in a way I can actually feel week to week. I will update specific information about the L5 in the comments. Don't forget to catch my next video.